Hey, good afternoon or good morning. How's everybody doing?
Hi, good morning. Yes, we can almost say good morning. How are you,
Okay,
Mazin?
good. I'm good. I was just doing the last minute rush for the email. Where's that connection?
That's all good. Thank you so much. Behind the Trade Estonia logo, we have our technical support from Estonia, Mari, and she will. Sorry, yeah, I was interrupting. So we will now let the people in. So Mari, if you could open the line, thank you very much.
Yep. People, they have signed in.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. And I'm very happy to see that we have almost all the people who have signed up online as well. And so I would like to introduce you Dr. Mazin Gadir. And Dr. Mazin Gadir is a Director of Partnerships, Clients Relationship and Bid Management at IQVIA, Payer Provider Government Group. And before joining IQVIA, Dr. Mazin was a senior consultant at Dubai Health Authority. So welcome to our webinar, and thank you very much for agreeing to take us through and enlighten us about the medical ecosystem or healthcare ecosystem in United Arab Emirates. So before I give you the full stage, I will just briefly mention to our audience that we have 1 hour today, and it's not a long time because the topic is definitely like wide and very, very detailed. However, today we try to focus on 3 main objectives, which are the medical sector structure in UAE and ecosystem. So as you know, Emirates, it's 7 different Emirates. It's the federation and private and public aspects, so it's very complicated. The second objective would be the most important trade shows and conferences in the region. And the third one would be the future vision of UAE medical sector. For the audience, please feel free to type all the questions in the chat box, and we will leave 5 to 10 minutes at the end to take the questions as well. But now, Dr. Mazin, please, the stage is yours.
Ege, and again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of today's celebration of the full Estonian innovation. And again, as you mentioned, 7 Emirates, and I will tell you more about the 3 health systems that exist across these 7 Emirates. So with this, I might share my screen. I've prepared a very delicious and tasty, just like the burger you told me about in Estonian Pavilion. It's a delicious set of knowledge and information that I'll be sharing with you today, and hopefully intensive in the sense that there's a lot, but I'm limited with only 40 minutes, just to give you that comfortable 45 minutes, comfortable overview, to give you a teaser, appetizer. And by the way, consider this as an initial induction, which can be followed with a deep dive if needed. Okay, can you see my screen again?
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you very much.
Excellent. The reason why I'm not dressed up today, because it's my almost initial start for the long weekend. I dressed down because we have the UAE national holiday, and we are celebrating our 50th anniversary, by the way. So the story goes like this. My parents came from Sudan to Dubai and to Abu Dhabi in 1976. So when I was born in 78, my mother had a look around, looked at the healthcare system, and it was literally still not up to the standard. So she had to fly to Sudan, give birth to me, and come back to 2 weeks later. Now, in my lifetime, the healthcare system in the UAE has transformed completely upside down. And that is why am I feeling personal about this? Because I saw it transform in my own eyes from the day I was born till now when my kids are born. And it's completely the opposite, right? So let me take you through this 42 years of journey that I've lived here, and I've seen the transformation happen with my own eyes. So let me go into a quick overview of the healthcare in this region. UAE is definitely a leading model, but around the UAE, there is Saudi and Qatar, where I want you to also keep in mind, because it's a 3-horse race. It's specifically when you look at transformation and digitization in the region. I have been in this region almost, yes, for 42 years. My previous jobs in Dubai Health Authority, Abu Dhabi Healthcare Services Corporation, Saha, and PwC in Cerner has given me a lot of lessons learned that I would like to share with you. Otherwise, I cannot keep everything in my head. I have to give it out so I can clear some space. Anyways, so the agenda for today, I wanted to give you a bit of an overview of the healthcare in this region, and then focus you on UAE healthcare. But I want to also spice up your day by giving you a Saudi and Qatari flavor. And then I will go into conclusion to give you what is needed from your side. So let me start. When I go to the UAE and I see the strategies that are available for us to look at, Dubai Health Authority, Department of Health Abu Dhabi, and also what do you call it? A Ministry of Health and Prevention. Those are the 3 areas and jurisdictions of healthcare. We can focus on, they have been focusing on disruption in healthcare, specifically the concepts of value-based care. So you look at, for example, future health experience, wholesome lifestyles, and you can see that engraved in their strategies. More than happy to share more documents. If you type in Dubai Health Strategy 2021, you will see 15 strategic programs and 98 different initiatives that shows you the direction of one care jurisdiction called the Dubai Health Authority that looks after 2.8 million people or 3.1 million people, sorry, 4.9 million people in the Emirate of Dubai. Okay, and it goes into genomics, it goes into AI and data analytics, it talks about human capabilities, because don't forget, when the healthcare industry started in the UAE, it started as a consumption industry, right? Consume what's the best out there. It's slowly moving into a production ecosystem where they want to produce, they want to build capabilities, human capabilities and workforce capabilities to enable them to grow the industry. So look at these areas: space medicine, future health economics, and that's how the healthcare has been progressing in this region and specifically in the UAE. If I look around, if I go to the next slide, okay, the 6 forces that shape the healthcare in this region specifically are demographics. We have a highly diverse demographic based population, very transient, right? Over 200 nationalities in the UAE, for example. 90% are actually expats, non-locals. Patient experience is an area that has been always slow to be disrupted. Patient experience is always falling behind passenger experience or retail shopper experience, or for example, what do you call it? Tourism experience, right? So patient experience is following up on the footsteps of tourism experience, retail experience, aviation experience, specifically in areas like the Emirate of Dubai. The other area is the private sector focus, the growing private sector portion in the economies across the region, specifically in Dubai and the UAE. Medical tourism, and I want to use a larger word, healthcare tourism, because now UAE can compete in the areas of wellness, mental health, because of the resorts, because of the number of the weather that we have all year around. We cannot compete a lot in areas in the medical, for example, cardiovascular surgeries, complex surgeries. We have better organizations in the US, in Germany, in India that can do it in better in better ways, or much more quality focus. However, in here we can compete in that area, but again, the area that UAE has been focused on is the healthcare and wellness tourism. There are centers of excellence in cardiovascular and oncology and diabetes and whatnot, but there is also an expansion of the healthcare focus. Care anywhere, the connectivity in healthcare industry to connect private and public sector. And then the final thing is the wellness. You've seen over the weekend, there was the Dubai Marathon, which I think they were around 300,000 or 400,000 people participating in that. Again, a huge amount of focus on the wellness, the running, the cycling, the mental health status. And that's what the UAE has been focused on, and the region around us. Don't forget, digital health is a huge, big conundrum, right? You will play in multiple areas. And if you are a healthcare technology company, you are able to play in a number of areas that are expanding across, for example, consumer mobile apps, or consumer wearables, or biometrics and whatnot. So there is a number of focus areas: telemedicine, web-based and whatnot, web-based interactive programs. So there is a number of, there's an explosion. However, you might say UAE is a small market, 10 million people alone. Yes, and it's very heavily congested. However, there is always these niche areas and gaps that come in that you can participate in and compete in, or even partner with and collaborate in. Okay, and the UAE could be a hub for you to expand elsewhere. Saudi is next door, India is next door, Africa is next door, and that's what our companies have seen coming into this region to be a hub for innovation and can expand outwards. So the leadership in this country is, they are miraculous. They are always pushing the bar. They're always putting strategies and visions that are making economies disrupt itself. And the healthcare economy is one of those, the self-disrupted economy, because of the leadership buy-in, the vision and the mission that they've been always pushing in. And now they are trying to put more focus on the human capital, the workforce enablement and empowerment, right? Looking at using the use of telemedicine, artificial intelligence, AR, VR, virtual reality, the use of digital twin, AI and whatnot. So as the leadership focus us on disrupting the healthcare economy, the stakeholder map of the healthcare economy in the UAE is also complex, because there are areas that have been expanding in this region or in this country, and they haven't yet played a vital part in the digital transformation. For example, life sciences and pharma are yet to come in with their might into the digital transformation. Now that there is a lot of push on cost effectiveness, sustainability, universal health coverage, we have a number of digital transformation projects across the healthcare economy in the UAE, across those three healthcare systems, as well as in Saudi and Qatar. But the number of stakeholders that are coming into the healthcare industry in the UAE is phenomenal. A company that I want you to reference is Okodoc. Okodoc is a company that started by a retail visionary, guy who came in from retail and e-commerce, thought about an idea, and they made up a company, start up a company, and now this company is actually expanding into the US. That's what we call a reverse expansion, from the UAE into the US. Normally, the companies come from the US to the UAE. So think of that, and think of what sort of disruptions are we seeing. Public health is a huge area of expansion as well. Let me give you a bit of an overview of some of the major multi-million-dollar programs that are happening in the area of digital health. UAE leading the way with a number of projects, like, for example, electronic medical record, or health information record, or e-claim platform. NABID is another big program for connecting the private sector and public sector in one platform in Dubai. Salama is the digitization of all the public sector hospitals in Dubai. Salim is the digitization of the visa screening and occupational health centers in Dubai. Qiyas is the data dashboard, or what we call the performance measurement dashboard. MOHAB, Ministry of Health and Prevention, also has their programs. They have Wareed, which is a digitization of public sector hospital. Riayati is the connection, or establishing a connectivity between the public and the private sector, not only from a clinical services integration perspective, from financial services also. And as well as Saudi Arabia, that is going crazy on digitization. They've literally disrupted the digital, the healthcare space in so many big programs. One of them is called Uniplat, with different releases, release 1, release 2, and release 3. First starting with financial services integration, then clinical services integration to create the unified health record or the health information exchange, and then release 3 to add the registries and whatnot. And this program is called Nafis. Nafis is spelled as NPHIES. We can spend days on this, by the way. The way they corporatize the healthcare system in Saudi, over 300 hospitals in the public sector and 2,500 clinics in the public sector, is a humongous ecosystem. Egypt, another upcoming and rising economy in healthcare. They're creating the universal health coverage program. India is an enormous economy, 1.3 billion people, from which half of them are going to be under one universal health coverage. Imagine the digitization programs. Qatar, with Qatar Health Information Exchange, Qatar M-Health and Telehealth platform, Qatar Pharmacy Track and Trace platforms, and all these acronyms that you see in those boxes. Anyway, so the idea is there is a race between those three major countries. And again, it's amazing amount of digitization that has happened in the last 15 years, the amount of digital strategies, digital health strategies, digital health programs and whatnot. The difference is Saudi, Qatar is mostly centralized health system. However, Saudi is moving towards more decentralization. UAE has been decentralizing since the early 1990s, because that's when Dubai Health Authority split off from the Ministry of Health. In the beginning, the UAE was one health system, but then in the late 80s, early 90s, Dubai wanted to go into more private sector direction. So they split off the Dubai Health Authority to make it a local authority away from the federal authority, much more autonomous, much more independent in their budget. Likewise, when Abu Dhabi did the same in the late 1990s, early 2000. And that's why I tell you, UAE is 3 health systems, not 2. 3 in the sense that we have Abu Dhabi health system, Dubai health system, and then the federal health system, which is represented by the Ministry of Health and Prevention, and they look after the Northern Emirates. But again, if you look at the different ownership models, whether you have UAE, Saudi, and Qatar, sometimes the ownership is a bit complicated because you have a number of players in the UAE. You have for example, military services, they have their own health systems. Ministry of Presidential Affairs have their own systems. And you get players like Mubadala, semi-government, with their own health systems. Saudi, this is very, very very extensive. So you have the National Guard, you have the military armed forces, you have the Department of Interior, Department of Defense, and each of them has their own health system. When you come to the major folks in the electronic medical record market view, you will see that there are some big players that normally dominate the market. In the UAE, Cerner dominates, for example, the electronic medical record in Abu Dhabi, and the Ministry of Health, Northern Emirates. However, there are players that are dominating other areas, InterSystems, Epic. These are the US Rolls-Royce companies of EMR. But there is a huge movement now away from that. They want the middle and the small to middle enterprises to come in and play a major role in the digitization activities in the UAE, Saudi, and Qatar. When you look at the governance and the majority of the data governance and the data residency laws, there is a lot of work. UAE is leading the way in many ways. Saudi is following up very closely. Qatar is a little bit behind. And then all that is managed by the visions and the strategies. A quick comparison that I like you to look at whenever you look at this 3-horse race in the digital arena. If I look at healthcare expenditure in this region, who spends more money in healthcare? Saudi is by far the biggest. If you look at the 100% across GCC, GCC stands for Gulf Cooperation countries. You have 6 countries. The fastest growing expenditure is in Saudi and UAE and then Qatar. That's why I'm focusing you on those 3 countries. And UAE could be your hub if you like. But again, let's go into the UAE. I want to talk to you a bit about the UAE. As I told you, we are driven by very ambitious and disruptive federal and local government leadership team. They always keep coming with strategies, especially in the post-pandemic period. At the moment, we are going into hyper legislation mode where policies are changing and getting updated and new policies are coming into action very quick. The UAE government is putting a lot of money in the private sector to boost the job market, and the number of disruptions that are happening into the regulators as well. Dubai Health Authority is going through a huge transformation. They are creating this new entity called the Dubai Academic Health Corporation. But if I look at the map of the UAE, you split the UAE into 3 areas. So number 1 is your Abu Dhabi healthcare system, which sits here with a number of big players in the healthcare arena. Abu Dhabi Healthcare Services Corporation, Saha, that looks after all the public sector hospitals, governed by the Department of Health in Abu Dhabi, and a private sector that plays in the area of healthcare. We have also the military services. They have their own health system. We have Mubadala. We have a number of other players in the region. In Dubai, we have another health system governed by Dubai Health Authority. Dubai Health Authority is the regulator of the Emirate of Dubai, and they look after 35 hospitals in the Emirate of Dubai with around 1,500 healthcare facilities. Most of the healthcare facilities in Dubai are private sector, and you can see the numbers, by the way. It gives you the number of hospitals to the public. By the way, these numbers are 2016, I think. The numbers might have been updated by now, and you might have a more extensive data out there that shows number growth as well. But the idea is, when you look at the healthcare system, the UAE healthcare system, I mean, the GDP itself, it declined, you know, in 2020. However, it's picking up rapidly in 2021. The UAE government has been focused on a lot of private-public partnerships in this region. And you can see, if you follow Department of Health on Instagram, they have been signing with Roche, AstraZeneca, GSK in the pharma area. They are signing with Amazon and the big Apple, Amazon and Apple and Google. They're bringing those big tech companies in the region and so on and so forth. But the expenditure still grows, by the way, from $17 billion back in 2017 to $20.3 billion healthcare expenditure in the UAE. And this is huge, by the way. Medical tourism is projected to grow also hugely. Between 2015 to 2020, the amount spent in the medical tourism is huge, $780 billion worth of investment and money being poured in medical tourism strategy. And that includes, by the way, also investments, right? But if you look at the stakeholder map of the UAE, this is how it looks like. So you have, for example, three major regulators in the healthcare system: Dubai Health Authority, Department of Health Abu Dhabi, and the Ministry of Health and Prevention in the Northern Emirates. Now we have DHCC is actually being merged with Dubai Health Authority. So there's no longer a DHC authority in Dubai. There used to be 2 authorities, one for the free zone, one for the free zone hospitals, and one for the what we call onshore hospitals and whatnot. But now it's going to be 1. So, and the number of providers of healthcare, they range from Saha, the operating arm of Abu Dhabi Healthcare Authority, and the Ministry of Presidential Affairs, even MOHAB, Ministry of Health and Prevention. They have created an operating arm. They call it the Emirates Healthcare Services, which is a corporate to run all the public sector hospitals. And now Dubai is doing the same by creating the Dubai Academic Healthcare Corporation to split the regulator from the operator. Moving on, there is a number of payers. Abu Dhabi is a single payer system mostly. That means we have a dominant player in the payer market, in the insurance market, which is called Daman, semi-government. In Dubai, it's a multi-payer system. That means we have over 60 insurance companies and TPAs that play in the market of insurance companies in Dubai. However, there is dominance by one or two big players. What I want to show you in this slide also, the other players in healthcare. Who are the providers in healthcare? Ministry of Interior, Armed Forces, Mubadala, plus the private sector network chains. We have a number of big companies that are coming in. They are semi-government or government-funded companies, and this is part of the privatization and corporatization of some of the services we have. Pure CS, which is a subset of Pure Health. Pure Health is a big laboratory device company that grew up in the last few years, and now they're spinning off their digital health big company, Pure CS. And this is a good list for you guys to keep an eye of for partnerships. Malafi is a private-public partnership special purpose vehicle that was created between Injazat and Department of Health in Abu Dhabi to run the Health Information Exchange Program. Injazat is a data center data services company that was created by Mubadala as a part of the investment of the government to bring in more corporatization in the data center database sector. They offer data services, cloud services, and whatnot. G42 is a big company that came in and was created to help in the pharma life sciences, services, products. They were leading a lot of the activities to build vaccine production capabilities in Abu Dhabi prior to the COVID-19. And then you have the telco company that has been playing a big part in cybersecurity and digital health. And then above all, we have the Abu Dhabi Investment Vehicle, ADQ, a big player in digitizing or building companies in the healthcare digital arena. So what I want to show you quickly, the healthcare landscape, the Ministry of Health and Prevention, knowing the Ministry of Health and Prevention, they normally lead the policy and clinical governance side. So both authorities, Abu Dhabi Department of Health and Dubai Health Authority, they normally get together with the Ministry of Health and Prevention, especially when they design clinical policies or disaster recovery procedures like COVID-19. They sit in a committee and they actually decide on the policies and the guidelines. However, when it comes to budgeting, the Ministry of Health and Prevention has a separate budget than the Department of Health Abu Dhabi, than the Dubai Health Authority. And in the Emirate of Dubai itself, it used to be three major players in the healthcare arena. Ministry of used to have a hospital and a number of clinics in the Emirate of Dubai. Dubai Health Authority has their own hospitals and clinics as well. And then the Dubai Healthcare City. But now Dubai is going through transformation. So the DHCC is going to be merged with Dubai Health Authority, and Ministry of Health still runs one hospital or two hospitals in two public facilities in the Emirate of Dubai, in addition to the other public health facilities in the Northern Emirates. But this running of hospitals will be now called a new organization called EHS, the Emirates Healthcare Services. And this is the new entity that's got spun off from the Ministry of Health and Prevention to do the operation side. So you can see the health systems here, they want to split the operation from the regulator. It's the same story in Saudi, same story in Qatar. Looking at this also, Dubai Health Authority, they've created a huge governance body that is called the Dubai Health Insurance Corporation, which is now looking at the whole insurance ecosystem in the Emirate of Dubai. They run a huge program called the e-claim platform, which all the claims that we have in the Emirate of Dubai, they run automatically from the providers to the payers where the reimbursement take place. And this is a one highway. We call it the post office highway, the claims post office, a very huge, ambitious program that started back in 2010, and now it's generating a lot of data. And again, the strategy, the Dubai Health strategy itself has been very diverse in its programs, because the Dubai Health strategy that is available online, by the way, it has 15 strategic programs that are focused on disrupting healthcare across all verticals, with a huge focus on innovation, integrated services, workforce development, and governance. And this is why you see some of those programs are focused on mental health, a huge mental health strategy that are coming up that has been designed in the Emirate of Dubai. The oral and dental healthcare strategy that looks at the way we govern healthcare. We have also our primary care strategy that initiated by a company called Strategy or PwC. They've helped us design this strategy to roll it out for the coming years, and the number of other strategies that we have. So the Dubai Health Strategy itself consists of specialty strategies that come underneath it. The idea is we are always looking for developments. They are always disrupting the healthcare arena in Dubai. This slide looks at the disruption that has happened in the healthcare ecosystem of Dubai. We have the ICD healthcare data law that came in from the federal government that will govern all Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and the Northern Emirates. And I've left you some links. I would love you to get acquainted with it because it helps in governing the health data, which was neglected for some time. We have also the medical liability law that came in from the federal government that enables you to expand and clarify certain aspects specifically attributed to medical errors, insurance, and telemedicine. Those two laws are very important, the medical liability law and the health ICT data law. Please keep track of this. It will enable you to understand how to penetrate the market with compliance to these laws. So as I told you, the Dubai health system is going through a huge disruption because now we are creating a healthcare entity called the Dubai Academic Healthcare Corporation that will look after all the hospitals in the Emirate of Dubai, which is around 4, by the way, and the medical clinics and the centers for visa screening and whatnot. And by the way, Dubai as a health system is mostly private sector dominated. 70% of the inpatient or outpatient visits in the Emirate of Dubai is recorded in the private sector. Okay, most of the inpatient or outpatient visits in Abu Dhabi is recorded in the public sector. So you can see two health systems. One is European-like health system or UK-like, like Abu Dhabi, which is single payer, mostly publicly dominated. And then the private sector dominated system like Dubai, it looks like a US miniature of a health system, right? Where you have a lot of insurance companies, a lot of private sector players. That's why it's very important to understand the dynamics between those two health systems. Just a quick archival picture of the Dubai Health Authority sector and how the org structure looks like. Again, I would definitely advise you to I've left you some links at the end of these slides to actually explore later on that shows you a lot of the statistical reports we have in the healthcare economy across Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and the Northern Emirates. We have open data platforms that publishes a lot of statistical reports. Also our governance, the way the organizational structure that looks like at Dubai Health Authority. And this is very important because then you can understand why Dubai Health Authority is corporatizing, for example, the existence of the Dubai Health Insurance Corporation. Why are we creating this Dubai Health Corporation? And now we are turning it into an operator to operate all the hospitals and all the different, industries, departments within the authority. And then how the regulation sector is managed, the health regulation sector and the different departments, as well as looking at the strategy and the corporate development sector. It gives you just a bit of an understanding about the org structure in Dubai Health Authority. Okay, a quick tour. I won't spend long, but I want to show you, send you a few appetizers on the Saudi Arabia health systems, because they will be hosting the Expo 2030. So start being prepared from now, guys, and start setting up your site on 2030. They are still bidding, by the way, for the hosting of Expo 2030, but I'm hoping to visit the Estonian pavilion in Riyadh or Saudi Arabia when it becomes a reality in 10 years. And as well as they are hosting the Formula One. Saudi is a magnificent health system. It's so big. It has a lot of people. By 2050, it's going to be around 77 million people living in Saudi. 70% of the population are are below the age of 40. And again, the statistics coming out of Saudi is phenomenal. At the moment, there is a number of big programs. Government spending is the biggest across the whole GCC region in the Middle East, I presume. They have a robust and very new maturing up health insurance system, and there is a lot of opportunities for digitization. I just wanted to give you a bit of a side view of the org structure of the Ministry of Health that employs over 500,000 people in the Ministry of Health. And they spend over $70 billion on the healthcare budget normally per year. Dubai Health Authority, just to give you some numbers, spends over $1 billion of budget per year. That's their budget per year, by the way. Okay. And they have around 13,000 employees. That's just Dubai Health Authority. Abu Dhabi Healthcare players, the Department of Health and Saha, spends over $5 billion per year in terms of budget. And they have over 18,000 employees across Saha and Department of Health. So just to give you a bit of understanding of the UAE health system. So the Saudi health system is very diverse, and there are a number of players that actually that has been digitizing as well. They've been playing a big part in the digital health transformation projects. Let me share with you something that I've just learned yesterday, the ICT sector strategy 2023. Again, this strategy has a healthcare component, and it shows how important the healthcare sector in the digitization drive in Saudi Arabia. But look at some of the technologies they are looking up to try and embed across multiple sectors in Saudi, from VR to IoT to robotics, the use of telecommunication capabilities. And that's why if you are looking for partners, don't forget to look at telco partners, for example, to partner their innovation hubs, to partner with them to offer your solutions, for example. And this is just a snapshot of how empowering digital Saudi is being conducted, you know, from infrastructure capabilities to the hyper legislation and policy and regulation transformation to building the human capital. And again, Saudi invests a lot in developing workforce and enabling the workforce to become future prone or future proof. You know, let me take you to Qatar. Qatar is another exciting arena of digitization, and they are hosting the World Cup 2022. So be prepared, by the way. They have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. They are ranked fourth in the world from a patient satisfaction perspective. But again, their appetite for digitization is huge. And again, they always look across the border to the neighbors, UAE or Saudi, and they sometimes brainstorm or benchmark, and they bring in some of the know-how from neighboring countries, especially now after the growth of the relationship between three countries and making sure that business continues as normal. There is a lot of potential opportunities across those three huge healthcare systems. This is just a side view or a overview of some of the biggest concerns they have. The Ministry of Public Health in Qatar does focus on non-communicable disease, specifically obesity and diabetes, which is #1 and 2 biggest problems. Don't forget, road traffic accident is another big nightmare that these countries have, Qatar, Saudi, and UAE. That's why the strategy of Qatar healthcare is to look at, improving mortality rates, improving lifespan, improving health and lifestyle practices by tackling obesity from the roots. Again, looking at some of the marks and some of the challenges they have and how they are trying to figure out some areas to fix those. And again, they always entertain technologies and digital solutions that will help in this arena. I want to give you this slide because Qatar is embarking a lot on a number of huge transformative solutions and programs, and they are only 2.9 million. So there is a lot of great plans and strategy innovation programs and areas that could actually help their population to tackle the challenges. So they are looking at, for example, the Qatar mHealth and telehealth platform. There's the Qatar pharmacy track and trace capabilities. And Qatar is pretty much dominated by public sector. The main public healthcare providers in Qatar is Hamad Medical Corporation and Primary Healthcare Corporation, around 8-9 hospitals and a number of around 25 or 30 different primary centers. Again, very UK-like system. When it is a single payer, is very, they follow the NHS in a lot of the practices like screening programs, community health programs and whatnot. So their public health and mental health arenas in focus is very huge, like Abu Dhabi, by the way. So in conclusion, and I only have another 7 minutes, so I want to conclude with some tips for you. I'm just having a quick sip of my coffee. Okay, so where do you go forward? I'm giving you a snapshot of a report that I worked on when I was at PwC, when we tried to look at the healthcare, IT, or technology challenges in the region, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi. And we've put it into 4 categories. What you see in green, these are some of the digital health challenges they have in the e-health ecosystem, right? Whether it's related to standards or data governance or policies or accreditation requirements in the e-health arena. What you see in yellow is the challenges that we see day and day in the infrastructure, whether it's data infrastructure or connectivity and database in infrastructure. And then what you see in red is what we have noticed, the challenges we have in the digital health space in this region when it comes to building resources. And I'm only speaking about human capital resources. One of the biggest gaps we have in this region, we don't have digital health experts, digital health architects, digital health standards experts, data health scientists and whatnot. And then what you see in purple is what you see when it comes to some of the challenges we have in adoption and change management. One of the biggest headaches is to try and continue orientation of change management and adoption, realizing the benefits of digitization in healthcare. This is common, by the way, even though the report is old, since 2015, but still the challenges are still persist and they are still across different countries. We are in a much better place now than 2015. The challenges are important focus. It's your compass. You can use this as your compass. Why am I saying this? Because back in August 2020, there was a huge announcement that came out of the Riyadh Global Digital Health Summit. This announcement is for the GCC countries to pay attention to 7 priorities. These 7 priorities, and by the way, this report is available, is pandemic-induced priorities and how we use digital health to fight any future future pandemics, right? They talk about health intelligence. No more can I call it artificial intelligence. No, we talk about health intelligence, where you bring AI and you infuse it into the decision-making process of your healthcare workflow. You're talking about integrated digital technologies. No longer you're gonna just build the system in a clinic. No, I wanna build a system in a clinic that connects with the government system or with the payer system and so on and so forth. You are talking about becoming more adaptive and designing artificial intelligence algorithm that makes solving a problem a reality, right? And research, specific R&D is a huge focus of the region, research capabilities of the region. And then looking at quality and effectiveness in improving patient and population health. One of the biggest focus areas in GCC is population health, data governance, and finally, public health awareness. That's a very important set of priorities that and they've put around 9 recommendations that I would like you to look at, because these 9 recommendations, if your technology aligns with these 9 recommendations, you have a huge capability that you need to offer in this region, whether it's the UAE or UAE with other countries like Qatar or Saudi. Some of the opportunities that we've done, and we've been running some workshops in the last 12 months with the healthcare players for a number of reasons. We're running this workshop to understand what are some of the challenges and opportunities in the health system. And I've listed around 8 or 10 points that could help you in targeting where your technologies can be positioned, your devices, your technologies can be positioned. And you can also look at the way they are thinking about. Are they thinking about always building hospitals and building clinics? Are we looking at smart clinics now, smart facilities? How are we bringing more digital solutions out to the patient? And that's why I want to bring the focus to the key themes that you see here and some of the value-based critical points that I would suggest that you look at specifically as you come into the UAE with your great innovation, whether you're looking at, for example, sensing technologies or high computing capabilities, or you're looking at interactivity or interface solutions, hyperconnectivity. The concepts of 5G is going to open the door for a lot of capabilities. Digital twin, VR, AR, they're talking about quantum computing and nanotechnology. Why? Because the focus on the region on the bottom here, it shows you, it looks at population health. There is a huge focus on population health. Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, they are going into population health with huge interest. Data and decision science, you know, the creation of dashboards, creation of registries, data aggregation capabilities, the use of faster tools and faster capabilities, 5G, quantum computing, nanotechnology, and then building collaboration hubs to encourage and enhance research and workforce development. That's why I'm giving you a mind map. This mind map shows you some of the capabilities and the technologies that are presented in the region to actually help position some of your solutions, your technologies to address challenges. And that's why we took the healthcare ecosystem in a hospital environment or in a clinic environment, and we divided this into different layers. What are some of the systems that are well known and could actually present you with an opportunity to embed your solutions in, from IT infrastructure to business intelligence to building intelligence to care orchestration and whatnot. And this is another report that I would like you to keep track of, because it shows you some of the technologies that are being considered in the region. This report was published by Deloitte back in 2020. And by the way, this report is not specific to this region. However, this region references it a lot because they look at the technologies which is emerging in 2 to 5 years or the future, and they try to fast track it. They want to bring it across immediately. So we are talking about, for example, space technology. Now we are talking about it in the UAE because the UAE launched their Mars mission. They've become, a big player in the space exploration. So they are looking at space medicine. They are going into DNA and digital data storage already. We have the Genome Project that Abu Dhabi has started, to emulate the Genomics England program. We are taking some of those technologies up front, so you can see that in this region, we are pushing to accelerate some of the future technologies to become a current technology. But I also want to drag your attention, and I'm closing with this. What should you do in the next 3 months? I'm only going to give you a 3-month plan because I know that you will ask me to come back for another follow-up call because I want to plan the next quarters for you or help you plan the next quarters. What is the picture? 2022 is going to hold you ransom to a number of great conferences. Arab Health is going to happen on the 24th of Jan. It's the Mecca of health IT. It's the biggest global healthcare IT gathering. Last year, or before the pandemic, we signed over $900 million worth of businesses in 5 days. There were over 4,000 exhibitors, over 55,000 attendees, over 70 or 60 countries. And again, this happened in 2020. This year in 2022, hopefully, God's willing, and the pandemic is still managed well, we will have a huge number, a breaking record. So Arab Health is on the 24th of Jan. Please make sure that you plan this in your calendar. You have the biggest dental gathering on the 1st of February. I would definitely advise you to actually entertain this conference if you have solutions and technologies in the dental health ecosystem. And then DOFAT is the biggest pharma related conferences that we have in this region. It's going to be in the end of February as well. Not only that, but I want you to keep track of certain organizations and certain conferences. In 2022, September 20, October timeline, we will have the biggest technology gathering like we did last October. And IGE was a witness of how huge this conference was last October. Next October will be big. It will have a healthcare vertical as it always does. But I also want you to follow a number of companies because they organize some of the most influential and amazing conferences in the healthcare as arena. Informa is the organizer of Arab Health and other conferences. Marifa is another company that organizes a number of very good and connected conferences with good representation and good networking capabilities. And then Mawan events. These are just samples for you to explore. Not only just conference organizing companies should you follow, you should also follow some local and international societies and associations because they themselves organize a number of great conferences, by the way. Emirates Health Economic Society, they have a digital health and great technology connection system. They have a good networking opportunities. The Emirates Health Informatics Society is another great society to be part of or follow, to actually engage with them in the conferences. There is also the HIMSS conference, the HIMSS, the Health Information Management System Society, and they organize a great number of local, regional, and global conferences, and it's always well attended by our region's leads and the heads of healthcare facilities. AHIMA is an international organization that has a number of local and regional conferences, very well attended. Project Management Institute is very cross-sectoral and cross-industrial, but they have a healthcare component in it that you should focus on. So I'm gonna leave you with some tips, some YouTube channels, some links as well, some important capabilities and references that you should actually look at. I'm gonna close with showing you that you can connect with me on LinkedIn, on social media if you like, and I've left you with a number of references, slides that you can dive into to continue your orientation and education. So much for this, and I will leave the last slide. Last 5 minutes, 4 minutes now.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing, Dr. Mazin. Thank you so much for such a detailed overview. And we have one question. I will share the question with you in written format so that you can take it later. Right now, I would just wrap it up. And I think if I would take a couple of things or the key elements from this 1 hour today, is that it's a definitely very complex healthcare system and market, and you really need to treat every single country separately, and also every single emirate separately, at least as it is today. So very different systems for Dubai and for Abu Dhabi, which are the two biggest emirates. And the second point would be that the best way to start familiarizing yourself with the market is to start with the trade shows and trade fairs, because you, as you mentioned, you will have all the best players and all the main and most important players present. at those trade shows. So it's also like a very, very good tip for the companies. So let me see, we have a couple of minutes. Do you want me to ask the questions right now? How do you prefer?
Let's entertain. I can even allow. Entertain an extra 5 minutes as well. By all means.
Okay.
Because I think your advice is very important. These shows and these conferences are hybrid, virtual and in person. Coming in person and shaking hands is very important in this culture. So showing your face, coming to talk, and Estonia has a great brand. Use that brand. Use that connection. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for your kind words. So we have first question here. When offering a digital mental health solutions for children 7 to 12 years, which are the authorities to contact in Dubai, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi?
Okay, so in Dubai, let me start with the one I know. In Dubai, definitely Dubai Health Authority is what you need to contact. There is a mental health department that is part of the public health sector that definitely will be interested to talk to you about some of the digital solutions you have in the mental health arena. So Dubai, there is definitely the public health department. Abu Dhabi, there is a Department of Health. They have a center called the Public Health Center that looks after the mental health strategy. But also, don't forget, the mental health department within the Department of Health also collaborates with the public health sector, and there is an important player in the Abu Dhabi healthcare market that you should actually connect with for sure. More than happy to get you some connections in DHA and Abu Dhabi Department of Health. Qatar, the Ministry of Public Health has a huge focus on mental health, and I know that there is a number of subject matter experts that I've been connected with as part of the public health department, if I'm not wrong, that actually working with the mental health program. I'm more than happy to share with you the mental health strategy because I worked on that back in Dubai Health Authority, and the team that is actually leading that I'm well connected with that. So more than happy to get you a copy and some visibility on the mental health strategy of Dubai.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we have another question here. While entering to UAE market, can you share existing pre-qualifying demands for medical service partners? Do they accept accreditations such as ISO 15189 and CLIA, or exist there some other demands? Field is medical genetics precision laboratory.
That's a very good question. I think they do accept certain accreditation. Which accreditation, I don't know, but I can connect you with a person. There is a lady called Dr. Mariam. She leads our UAE Genetics Association. She's a great vehicle for you to actually jump into the genetics field. She is her name is so the UAE Genetics. It's called the Disease Association. She's very well connected with the different departments and different authorities across UAE. She will be a great contact and a great association to get you through and get you connected with the right people. That's number one. Number two, I work with one of the advisors and the subject matter experts in the genetics and genomics arena. Her name is Dr. Saba Atalla, I think, and she's been connecting with a lot of the for the healthcare authorities across the UAE, especially when it comes to the accreditation and the certification of genetic or genomics related technologies and services. So definitely more than happy to get you associated with those two contacts. Dr. Mariam, I forgot her last name, who is the head of the UAE GDA, and I will leave you the link here in the chat. And the other lady is Dr. Saba. I'm more than happy to connect you with as well, who is one of the lead geneticists and genomics experts in the UAE.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm 100% sure that there will be very many questions from the companies who are actually coming to Dubai in January, either to the trade shows or to the expo, etc. So, but at this moment, we will say thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate, and thank you for being such a great friend for Estonia.
No problems, no problems. My pleasure always. And please feel free to let me know if you feel like having a follow-up, you want me to slow down on some slides, spend more time. Again, availability is there, and more than happy to work with Ige. Thank you so much, Ige. Thank you for this opportunity. I left my LinkedIn. Please connect with me if you feel like it, and I'm at your service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody. And Mazin, have a great long weekend.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.